it's Lily from XicanaBoxing, and it's been a while since I made a video, so I thought I would. I just got off of work, and there was some big boxing news today. Canelo Alvarez is actually going up to 168 to fight the WBA champion at 168, who is Rocky Fielding. I'm pretty sure this took all of us by surprise, because even though Canelo didn't really announce who he was planning on fighting next, they did speak briefly about a possible third fight with Triple G post-fight of the second fight. I wasn't expecting Canelo to even come back in December, because even though he said it for a couple of years that, he always wants to fight in December, it just never happens. He fights May and September, which were the Mayweather days. The days basically that Mayweather used to fight. So, sorry, I got something in my eyeball. Ugh. But, so I'm like, okay, if he comes back, he'll probably come back against David Lemieux, because David Lemieux just fought and he fought one round. So even though Canelo fought the 12, I felt like that fight would have made more sense, especially since they're in the same stable. They're both in the stable. I mean, like, they're both golden boys, so the money stays in the house. So that's the fight that we all thought made sense. And even though Canelo never said anything about David Lemieux, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but from what I know, I don't think he ever mentioned David Lemieux. So, I think we all just assumed that was the fight that was going to happen. And of course, a lot of people are not happy at all about Canelo's move to 168. And they're basically there's a lot of comments of him cherry picking, of him ducking, and it's getting out of hand in my opinion. The most common comments right now is that he went up to 168 to avoid a third fight with Triple G. That's the narrative right now, that he doesn't want to give Triple G a third fight because he knows this time for show he's going to get knocked the fuck out. So that's why he went up to 168, so that, now that he has the belt, he doesn't want to give Triple G a rematch, basically. So, I think, that's not a possibility at all, because he already fought Triple G twice. Not once, but twice. And, it's okay to not think Canelo beat Triple G. It's okay to think Triple G won both fights. Those are very valid, opinions. In my opinion, they're very valid. And you can argue that Triple G won both fights. However, let me just put it this way. Canelo has fought Triple G twice. The first time he boxed more. The second time he literally stood toe-to-toe with the fucking monster of the middleweight division. He literally went toe-to-toe 12 rounds. It's not like he usually does, where he gets tired and he's just, against the ropes. He was only against the ropes twice in the fight. It is very valid to say that Triple G won those fights or that Canelo didn't win those fights. But I don't think it's valid anymore to say that Canelo is scared, because I don't see why he would be scared after going toe-to-toe with him and still surviving, And not only surviving, it was a pretty damn close fucking fight. Even if you don't think Canelo won, Triple G didn't dominate. Triple G didn't dominate the first, and he didn't dominate the second. So you gotta give a man props. So I don't think that he's scared. Honestly, even though they put up great fights, the Canelo Triple G fight, both the first and the second, were amazeballs. I don't think people wanted a third fight as much anymore, because I think they noticed the pattern, and they noticed that Canelo is getting better and he adjusts better in every fight. So he would probably win the third fight more comfortably. And not only that, because people didn't even want the second one, because they thought that Triple G won the first. So why even fight a second time when, even though he didn't win on the scorecards or on the resume, most people had him winning. So why pursue another fight with Canelo when he can just, unify with BJ Saunders and become undisputed? So a lot of people didn't even want the second fight, so a third fight with him and Canelo was kind of like meh. Now let's take a minute to take your Canelo hating glasses off. Take them off real quick. Take them off. Take them off. Right? Just think rationally. Canelo was gonna face criticism regardless of who he picked to fight next. If it wasn't, Charlo. You know, if it wasn't Charlo, he was going to get, criticized. Now, let's see, people also wanted to see him against BJ Saunders. Now, that fight wouldn't have been possible in December because BJ Saunders is fighting Boo Boo Andrade. And whoever wins that fight, whether it's Boo Boo versus BJ Saunders, they can't fight again in December. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And Canelo, wanted to fight in December, so that fight wouldn't have been possible. You know what I'm saying? It's just too fucking soon. So, that fight, that unification bout, just not realistic to be his first defense. Not realistic. Now, a lot of people are saying, okay, then fight, what's his name? Then fight Danny Jacobs. And it's like, okay, well, Danny Jacobs is also fighting in October this month against Sergey Deverachenko. I don't know how to pronounce these guys' names, I'm sorry, but you know who the fuck I'm talking about. He's fighting him, and whoever wins the IBF title, which is the one that Triple G vacated when he fought Vanes instead of defending it against, Serverachenko or whatever his name is. It's going to be in October, so also whoever wins wouldn't have been able to fight Canelo in December either. So that leaves those champions out, so who is he going to unify with? Now, Charlo was the initial mandatory for the WBC, ranked number 2. Well, was ranked number 2. I don't know if that changed after Triple G and Canelo. I'm not sure how that works right now. I haven't checked. But, that was Canelo's official mandatory after becoming the WBC champ. Charlo. Now, Charlo hasn't fought, I think he only fought once this year. So it's like, and that fight wouldn't have happened this year because, let's be honest here, Canelo's not going to defend his WBC title right away. He's going to make a defense against a non-mandatory and then, maybe do the WBC mandatory. And I don't think the WBC would put themselves in the position to try to dictate what Canelo would do next. Because remember, when they try to tell him you got 15 days to negotiate with Triple G, remember what happened? I don't think the WBC would be like, hey, Canelo, you got 15 days to make negotiations with Charlo or we're taking the belt. Fuck no. They want those fees. They want those sanctioning fees. And I don't think they want to get in Canelo's nerves anymore. I don't think they want to be on Canelo's bad side anymore. So I don't think they're going to make him defend it to Charlo. And what proved it? Now, the other day, I think on Monday or sometime this past week, the WBC came out ordering Triple G versus Charlo to become the mandatory. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. Charlo was already the mandatory. Why are you guys making a preliminary now? Why? Like, are they trying to set up a fight, another fight with Triple G and Canelo in that way? Because it doesn't make sense. Charlo was already the mandatory. So now he's got to fight the possibly still the scariest fucking middleweight to be mandatory when he already was. So again, and also I would have just rather see the fight Canelo versus Charlo. I would love to see that fight, but I would love to see that fight when Charlo has a belt, not just a regular belt or whatever they call those, other belts that are not, I don't want to sound fucked up, but that are not the more prestigious belts, So I would rather see that fight then, and I would rather see that fight once Charlo also fights, a little bit more competition, and eventually, hopefully in September, maybe the Charlo fight. But I didn't think that fight was going to happen right away. Like, if you really thought that Canelo was going to fight Charlo right after Triple G, then te hace falta ver más backs. Te hace falta ver más backs, because that's just not how it works. And I'm not saying that, Canelo's scared of Charlo, because that's another comment going around. Those comments going around now, too, that Canelo moved up in weight to avoid a fight with Charlo, who was his WBC mandatory before the WBC ordered Triple G versus Charlo. So I'm not saying that Charlo doesn't give Canelo problems, because I would love that fight, because Charlo's, they are fucking vicious too, and they're very aggressive, and they box. So it's like, but I don't like the narrative that is being pushed now that Canelo moved up to avoid Charlo, because you guys can't be pushing that narrative anymore. It just doesn't work, because Canelo fought the best middleweight, the monstrous Triple G knockout artist twice. Twice after beating Triple G, you think he's scared? Again, no offense to the Charlos, but after having fought Triple G twice and going toe-to-toe with the man, I don't think he's scared of Charlo. And at the end of the day, this is just like a smart decision from Canelo, because he's like, hey, I'm going to move up to 168 and fight a champion there, a champion who I can probably beat, because his only loss is to Caleb Smith, who just won the World Boxing Super Series. So that's his only loss. And he's a champion, you know. It gives Canelo the chance to become multi-division world champion. A lot of people are like, well, he's cherry picking, because if he moved to 168, why didn't he make a fight with Caleb Smith, who just won? Why go for the guy he beat up in one round? Or why not challenge somebody else? Why not challenge Zurdo? Why not challenge, Benavides? But again, that's just not realistic. Your first fight at 168, you're going to fight against the strong motherfuckers? Like, I'm sorry, but that's not very smart. And I guess you could say the same thing about Triple G, because his first fight against against the 160 man was Triple G. But at the same time, we all knew Canelo's been 160. We all knew that he rehydrates and he's a middleweight. So he has a smaller frame, but he would always be 160. He would even not make his own catch weight at 155. He didn't make it against Angulo, and he didn't make it against, I forgot who else, and he had to pay a fine. So it's like, we knew that he's been a middleweight, but a super middleweight, that's different. That's different. So even though people want to call it a cherry pick, there's still that size disadvantage there, and the fact that you don't know how your power is going to carry through the higher division. So I think the part that I have trouble understanding from the people that are mad that Canelo moved up or are calling it a cherry pick is that, like, what do you guys wanted? Because he wasn't going to fight Charlo. And the other champions, like I said, they were not, they were not available, obviously. And if he would have fought somebody else at 160 that Triple G already fought, because Triple G has only fought at 160 his entire career. So they would have been like, oh, he's just fighting Triple G's leftovers. Or he's only fighting Lemieux because to keep the money in the Golden Boy stable, and because he knew he can smoke him. But it's like, so what do you want? You would have rather seen Canelo fight Lemieux than maybe possibly see how he's gonna struggle maybe against somebody much bigger than him, or not much bigger than him, but bigger than him, especially if you hate him. So yes, I was hella surprised that he moved to 160, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you have 2 fights at 160. Like, fight Triple G's leftovers. Do it. Fight them. Because they're still legit, and some of them are still legit contenders, I would like to see maybe a fight with Rosado, maybe a fight with Monroe. These guys at 160, Lemieux too, these guys at 160, that even though they're not at Canelo's caliber, or they're B-side or C-side fighters, they're legit contenders at 160 until maybe make a unification bout with all the other guys who are going to fight this month. So might as well fight somebody in another division and become multi-division world champ, and then come back down again to 160 and resume your career there. Like, I don't get why it's such a big fucking deal. I really don't get why people are like throwing tantrums over this shit. I really don't get it. And like, some people are like, oh, Canelo's a sneaky motherfucker, or Canelo, that's some sneaky bullshit. And it's like, how is that sneaky? I don't think Canelo ever said, oh, I'm calling out this guy, I'm calling out this guy over here, I'm gonna kick your ass. He's never been like that. So I feel like he was silent the whole time, and if this opportunity presented to himself, then he took it. I don't think maybe he was planning. Remember, Oscar said that shit like in the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, he was like, okay, that was moving to 168, and we're like, okay, yeah, right, bitch. But he did. So maybe they were planning this shit, but I don't know. What is Canelo's next move? If he is going to be at 168, is he going to stay at 168, or is he just fighting at 168 because he doesn't think he can drop back down to 160 by December? You know what I mean? Because he's on vacation and shit. So maybe he's like, fuck, like, I don't think I can drop back down to 160 till, like, in December. Maybe it's that. So the fight against Rocky is actually going to be at the Madison Square Garden on December 15th. So, a lot of fans that are angry about this fight are already, not just talking shit, but talking about they're not gonna watch it and they're not gonna support that. And that's fine. And that's what boxing fans need to do. If you don't agree with the fight, don't watch it. Don't give these people your money if you don't agree with the fights that they're taking. Make your voice be heard in that way. I'm not gonna watch this fight if I don't agree with it. But let's be honest here, you guys are still gonna watch it. You guys still watch that shit. Not only that, you guys are only mad because you guys don't like Canelo. And I get it. You don't have to like him. I didn't like him for a long time. Not just that, but you guys are more mad about who this is. That it's Canelo doing this. That it's Canelo jumping from division to division and, cherry picking from different divisions to get titles. I don't see people have that same energy with Mikey Garcia. And it's like, Mikey Garcia is a great champ for division. I love Mikey Garcia. But he does that and nobody says anything. He goes in different divisions and fight guys that he is not the underdog with. So even though he's challenging them for their titles, he's not often the underdog. And this is the same thing Canelo's doing. When Mikey took Lipinet's title, it was at 140. He was going up to 140. And he beat a guy that was, had 17 fights? I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure Mikey was everybody's favorite to win that fight, regardless of whether Lipinets was the champion or not. And everybody still celebrated Mikey's win because it's supposed to be celebrated. You're still challenging. It's Canelo, so fuck him. So it's okay, like I said, it's okay not to like him, but the whole narrative of he's scared or cherry picking is getting a little out of hand, given his level of opposition that he's faced with Triple G alone. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think Canelo's gonna do? Is he gonna fight at 168 and then go back down to fight all the fighters that he couldn't fight in December because they had their own fights too soon? Is he gonna come back to fight Charlo, or is he going to stay and try to fight the guys at 168? Let me know in the comments why you're mad. Why you're mad about this. Let's have a discussion. And yeah, what is next for Canelo? Let me know your thoughts. Or if you just want to tell me to shut the fuck up and stop talking about boxing, go make you a sandwich and to get back in the kitchen, or that I don't know shit about boxing, you can do that in the comments too. See ya.